So what is the starting point of black box testing? Black box testing starts from a description of the software, or as we call it, a functional specification. And the final result of black box testing is a set of test cases, a set of actual inputs and corresponding outputs that we can use to exercise our code and to try to find defects in our code. So the question is, how do we get from functional specification to test cases? Doing this derivation, so going from this description to a concrete set of tests, is a very complex analytical process. And normally brute force generation is not a good idea because it's inefficient and ineffective. What we want to do instead is to have a systematic approach to derive test cases from a functional specification. What a systematic approach does is to simplify the overall problem by dividing the process into elementary steps. In particular, in this case, we'll perform 3 main steps. The first step is to identify independently testable features, individual features in the software that we can test. And we're going to expand on each one of these steps in the next part of the lesson. The following step is, once we have these independently testable features, to identify what are the relevant inputs. So what are the inputs or the behavior that is worth testing for these features. Next, once we have these inputs, we want to derive test case specifications. And test case specifications are description of the test cases that we can then use to generate actual test cases. And proceeding in this way, by these steps, has many advantages. It allows for decoupling different activities. It allows for dividing brain-intensive steps from steps that can be automated, which is a great advantage. And also, as we will see, it allows you for monitoring the testing process. So to figure out whether your testing process is going as expected, for example, if you're generating too many test cases, or you're generating the number of test cases that your amount of resources available allows you to run. So let's start by looking at the first step of this process, in which our goal is to go from a functional specification to a set of features that we can test in the software. So what we want to do is to identify all of the features of the software. And why do we want to do this? Well, in the spirit of breaking down the complexity of the problem, it does not make sense to just try to devise test cases for all the features of the software at once. For any non-trivial software, that's a humongous problem and something that we cannot really handle effectively. A much better way is to identify independently testable features and consider one of them at a time when generating tests.